One of the things also I wanted to try to make the important point of why people should get a hold of somebody like you. So when I first invented this, the mouth pain from eating spicy food was the only thing I was thinking about. So if I were to fill out my first patent and say, "Hey, it helps eliminate the pain from eating spicy food," what did I leave out of my patent? All the other areas of where it could be of benefit
So,
to. And so my short-sightedness and not seeing a broader picture could very much have hindered my ability to get the proper protection. So, knowing, if somebody said, "Hey, we would really like to buy your spray from you. Let's take this off your hands. We've been listening to the Dave show here, and you know what? We have that supply chain. Let us get that off your hands, and we'll get that out in the market. We'll, maybe give you a."
welcome to another episode of Everything Intellectual Property. Today, we have a very special guest with us. This gentleman has invented a cooling mouth spray that prevents pain from spicy foods. Please help me welcome the founder of Dr. B's Elixir, Curtis Breville. How's it going, Curtis?
Oh, it's going great. Thank you very much for having me on.
No problem, no problem. And this is going to be a good one. I can already feel it. I know we had some discussions offline. Yeah, pretty exciting product that you have on your hands. So, just for the people who may be watching this on audio, or even if they're watching it on video, I always like to kind of have the guests describe their product just so that the audience can get an idea of what the guests have invented. So, can you maybe describe a little bit your product with the cooling mouth spray, and then just so people can get an understanding of what it is that you have?
More than happy to. Thank you very much. So I think everybody here who's listening has had their experience with spicy food. In fact, we probably make a decision every day as to what we're going to eat based on how spicy something is. I discovered the first ability to prevent or eliminate the pain of that spice, no matter how hot. And it's been tested up from everything that you're going to get at your local grocery store. Maybe jalapeno, habanero, those Fresnos, those whatever types of chilies are out there. But it's been tested all the way up against the Pepper X, the Carolina Reaper, and everything else that almost like competition level strength hot peppers that the crazy chili heads will test against. No matter how hot, it eliminates the pain without it affecting the flavor or that heat sensation that you get. Typically, my eyes are watering, my forehead is sweating. Sometimes I'll get the hiccups depending on how hot something is. You get all that. There's just no pain.
Right. No, and that's great. When I was in Jamaica last summer and at a buddy's wedding, and I ended up getting some sauce from the airport, and some kind of Jamaican sauce. I actually have empty bottle in the kitchen, and it's pretty good, but it was always like a kind of a bittersweet thing because, like you said, the pain from it was so excruciating, but at the same time, you love the flavors, you love the heat, all those things. But it seems like in your case, you have something that will allow you to get all the kind of the good stuff from it without having to get the pain from these different peppers and sauces and so forth and so on. Correct?
Yep, and I didn't realize this at the time when I discovered this, but that pain and the heat are actually two different things. And so
I
that
thought it was all the
sensation.
same thing.
No, no. So, the we have these receptors in our mouths. We have them all over our body. If you've eaten spicy food, you probably have experienced what we call exit burn the next day when it's leaving your body. It's the same receptor. It's the same reason pepper spray burns our eyes. It's the same receptor. Capsaicin binds to a very specific receptor, and that sends a sensation to our brain, and we feel the pain. What I found was what were these compounds that bind to a different receptor. It sends a conflicting message to the brain, and the brain just doesn't feel the pain. It's called neurological modulation, but in short, it tricks the brain into not feeling the pain. And everything else we've ever tried throughout mankind has been scrape away, wash away, try to drink milk or drink something or eat crackers, get rid of that capsaicin. no, that was the wrong way. You don't get rid of the capsaicin. Your brain just doesn't acknowledge the pain that it brings because ours throws in this conflicting signal.
Right. And again, look, maybe it's mind over matter for me up at this point in time because, like you said, typically whether it's bread or milk or some form, just trying to kind of drink to kind of subside the pain. And I, I'm not saying it works 100% of the time, and maybe I'm kind of tricking my brain to say, okay, I'm kind of taking something so this pain should stop. And it seems like that's I don't want to say work foolproof, but at least it makes me feel better. So you
Well, so
mentioned, go ahead.
if you've done that and people have done stuff like that, that happens for what you just ate. Now, if you want to eat another pepper, you'd have to do all of that over again.
Gotcha.
Now, you could spray uh 5 to 10 sprays of Dr. B's elixir in your mouth, put it down, go into a Thai restaurant, get the Thai spice level heat, and enjoy your meal without feeling any of the pain. You don't have to be doing that between bites. It's one time, and you're good for half an hour, 45 minutes. It all kind of depends on what else you're eating or drinking that could wash it away.
Yep.
But just a little bit of a small sip of cool water accentuates the cooling sensation that the spray brings. So you're good. You don't have to do all that stuff, and which could probably fill you up and be a lot more than what you were planning on eating.
Right. No, you're exactly right about that. I mean, I have an interesting story. One time I was at Buffalo Wild Wings. I ordered some hot wings, and I think they brought me out like they are hot as wings, and like I was drinking a cup full of water after each wing, which is discomforting to say the least. But you had mentioned capsaicin. What exactly is capsaicin? Is that actually something that's within the peppers, or
Yes, that's the compound that gives us the pain. And the way that we measure that pain is something called Scoville heat units or SHU. It's the more dense that capsaicin in certain peppers, the more pronounced the pain is. So that's what makes one pepper different than another. Well, one could say, "Hey, it's 5,000 Scoville units," and then you got this Carolina Reaper, which is like a million Scoville units plus. It all depends on how combined and how compressed that that capsaicin is, but it's in all peppers.
okay? Nice, nice, nice. So then, I guess what was I guess what inspired this, and we'll get off into your background a little bit. But it seems like maybe your background is not necessarily like being a doctor, as far as I guess I guess in a way that you would think that you're coming up with these products regularly on a daily basis. So what was your inspiration for coming up with the cooling mouth spray?
Great question. So I've been a home brewer for probably 35 years now, which
Oh,
kind of makes you an amateur chemist, if you will. Anybody who's been into making this realize this. And a long time ago, somebody, Dave, told me that if they're ever eating something spicy, they like to drink a very hoppy beer. And I could just kind of maybe thought that was cool. Again, you had mentioned milk and other people have done other things. It was just one of those things in which I was like, hey, if my mouth is on fire, I'll try that. Uh, well, my youngest daughter, this is back in middle of August of 2023, so only a couple of calendar years ago. Um, my youngest daughter has her friend come over, and he's got some ghost pepper sauce he's putting on a chip and eating it while he's TikToking himself doing this. Well, the knucklehead a half an hour later was standing over my sink. He probably drank half my gallon of milk. He's holding ice cubes to his lips. Oh, I didn't have any hoppy beer. But I did have a jar of decorative hops that I got from some um um homebrew show years ago. And so I decided to twist the top off. I put some of the hops in his hand. That rub your hands together. There's oils, these lipids that have oils in them. I said, Jim, push it to your lips. And it wasn't 10 seconds later, Dave, he goes, the pain's gone. So
really?
that's where the light bulb went off. I'm like, okay, there's something to this.
Yeah.
Then then I went and found the science behind it and was like, okay, mentioned a couple of compounds that bind to a different receptor. And this is, what could happen. There wasn't a lot of research on this, very little. So my research that I published on this is some of the very first and foremost research that shows just how powerful these compounds are, and so decided to start making something, send some to my sister in South Carolina. She's like, it works, oh my god, and so I'll buy you some bottles, I'll get you some labels. So
Yeah.
off we go, and I decided to start packaging and selling it. And the first people that came out of the woodwork were these, they're belovedly nuts. They call themselves chili heads. They eat the hottest things. They do these hot pepper eating competitions. Who can eat the most ghost peppers in a minute, type of thing. Crazy folks. And so they realized it worked, but they needed more sprays with what they had.
Okay.
The average person that goes to, eat some Mexican food and it's a little too hot, the original spray works great for that. For these folks, I made this gold label competition strength. I just took more of the secret sauce and added to it. And now there's no pepper out there that Dr. B's Elixir can't beat.
Nice, nice, nice. So it seems like you have, I guess, different variations of cooling, if you will.
I have the white label, like I show it here. This
Oh,
is the Dr. B's Elixir Cooling Mouth Spray.
okay.
And then I have a gold label Dr. B's Competition Strength.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so if you're going to be messing with those, yeah, if you're really into the really hot stuff, or you want to go to those contests, and try, test your metal against it, I'd say have the competition strength there.
Nice.
It'll do you right every time.
No, and one of the things as I was preparing for this interview that I didn't realize, but this is the spray is all natural. Is that correct? Because I know a lot of people, especially these days, they kind of get a little, uh, I don't say weirded out, but they, in terms of kind of what they're putting into their bodies, whatever the case may be, wanting to make sure it's all natural and it doesn't have these other ingredients that's not good for you. So the spray is all natural, correct?
Yes, this is a non-pharmaceutical, all-natural spray. So everything is of natural origin. Hops by themselves, it could work with just hops and the isolates that I found, that those compounds that are in hops that really do its magic. They're the reason why hops are never the secret ingredient on Iron Chef. They taste horrible by themselves. So to put something in there for flavoring, a little bit of mint, a little bit of honey. Those aren't going to do anything, to um, have an adverse reaction to the active ingredient. It actually supports it and is soothing. So the primary ingredients are, yeah, hops, the hop isolates that add more of the cooling, and then some honey and some mint to make it taste a little better. So and one of the funny things with this is my wife is one of those who, uh, when I discovered this, we didn't have anything hot in the house. We had mild paste picante sauce
Mm.
in the house. So that's about how hot she would have it. Now she has ghost pepper, or she has habanero sauce, and she'll spray and she'll test it, and she'll let me know if I need to add more honey or mint for the flavor profile.
Nice.
But the spray works, and that's my biggest challenge, is just people going, there's nothing out there. There's never been anything out there. So they don't believe that there is something now. So as I put out maybe an ad or something on Facebook, a meta ad or something, people who were just so negative, oh, BS, buyer beware. There's no way this could work. So finding influencers, people who are trustworthy in this space. If you go to drbselixir.com, drbselixir.com, you'll see a video, and you can see people, just regular people, and some of the influencers who do hot sauces all the time, trying it, just going, I got no words. This is incredible. So, but trying to convince the world this is something that actually works
Yeah.
is my biggest challenge right now.
And that's interesting, because we were talking about before as far as the kind of the Beverly Hills analogy, and life has been going on for a long time, and I always kind of find it interesting when I kind of interview or come across someone who's kind of invented something, but it's something that is almost like, is it really nothing out there that's kind of dealing with it is that or invented that's essentially the same as what I've invented, or that is kind of solving that same issue? Because you would think, okay, at this point in time, it would have been all type of mouth sprays, cooling mouth sprays, especially with the peppers and a love for peppers, not only here in the U.S. but kind of throughout the world. Do you sometimes sit back and pinch yourself and think like, wow, I'm surprised that nobody has ever cracked the code to kind of the cooling mouth spray? Has that ever come across your path from time?
Oh yeah, it blows my mind. I have tried and tried and tried, and to try to get a hold of the producers of that show, Hot Ones, which is still on, and people tune in to watch the interviewer, Scott Evans, interview celebrities while they're eating progressively hotter hot sauce on them. Okay, you know what? If if people believe this and there was something that did this, they could just take it before the show and be like, "Oh, this is just fine. I can eat, the bomb or the really hot stuff, the last dab, with no problem." But there is nothing out there to do that. And I'm like, listen, I don't want to ruin your show. I'm not trying to rain on your parade. But let's say after the cameras cut, lights out, okay, and enjoy yourself. These celebrities have celebrity things to do. They gotta go to place. They don't need to be on the bathroom, with that exit burn or their stomach just churning because of all the hot sauce they eat. Give this to them. Let them spray it in their mouth or the really hot stuff. Just twist off the top and take a swig and gargle it and swallow, and you're good. No
Yeah.
pain going in, no pain coming out. But come on, and it's like they just are like, we don't know. So yeah, trying to get something on the shelves. The guy who invented the hottest pepper, um, the guy who's in North Carolina, and anyway, the guy who has Pepper X and Carolina Reaper. He's also got a storefront. It's called Pucker Butt Pepper Company storefront. And I'm like, listen, have this on your shelf so that when people go in and they're buying the hottest stuff, they have a
Yep.
safety net.
Yep.
They have a safety net. Otherwise, what's going to happen? You're going to try a little bit of this whole bottle and you're going to be like, that's too hot for me. And it's going to sit in your refrigerator until you see mold on it in a couple of years. And then you're going to throw it away. How about this? Have a safety net, and now you can spray your mouth in advance and be the coolest party trick around. Show your friends how you can eat it. Or you can just try however many hot sauces you want, knowing that if there's something beyond your tolerance level, you can just kill that pain just like that. That would, my sister went into it and was like, she ended up buying like $200 worth of hot sauces. She's like, I would not buy this many if I didn't have my brother's Dr. B's elixir,
Yep.
because if any of this is too hot, and I know it is, but I want to try it anyway because now I can. Um, so trying to get them to put that on the shelves. So Ed Curry, if you're listening, I sent him some of the Dr. B's competition strength, and the manager of the store said his wife loves it. She can now try his hot sauces without suffering because she's got Dr. B's. There's never been anything out there like it. It's the first of its kind. And yeah, back to our discussion. Jed Clampett shot at the ground, up came a bubbling crude, and then the next thing you know, he's in Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
Something happened in between there, and I am right in that in between that I got to figure out how to make my millions or billions from this invention.
Right.
Um, right now, people can buy it. They go to our website, if there's a link to Amazon, you can buy it off Amazon. Reason I have it on Amazon is because they're very, very tough on businesses. So oftentimes you see advertisements for things that look too good to be true on Facebook, and then they're, almost like scams.
Yeah.
On Amazon, they cut through all of that. You got to have a, place that they verify that you're working out of. They do all sorts of verification. So
Right.
because of all the skepticism, I needed to get on Amazon. So yeah, I've been selling there for the last year plus.
Nice, nice, nice. And one of these things, one of the reason, one of the good reasons why I like doing these interviews is because I tend to learn a lot about kind of different businesses, different things that's out there. You had mentioned hops a few times. For the audience member who's not maybe not familiar with hops, can you kind of go in a little bit more detail of what that is?
Sure. So if you're listening and you've ever had a beer, you have had hops. So hops are the bittering side. When they make beer, they take barley malt, and what they're doing is they're extracting the sugars from it. And then so you have boiled sugar water there, which would be sweet by nature. So they
Yeah,
add hops to it to add a bittering offset to that sweetness to balance it out.
yeah.
And pretty much the entire hop growing world is growing it to provide that to the beer making industry.
Mhm.
Um, so this is something that, like I kind of mentioned, I was a home brewer, and somebody mentioned that they would drink a hoppier beer. So if you've had an IPA or some of those West Coast IPAs, double IPAs, that they're just so bitter, it's because they have a lot of hops in them.
Mm.
So yeah, the hop plant is primarily used for beer. There's something in those hop plants that actually benefit you in cooling your mouth. I found what does that and isolated those and was able to just get those. So I make a little kind of like a tea, if you will, in which I boil hops. Then I add those isolates and I add the flavorings at a certain blend type. And that's Dr. B's Elixir.
Good to go. Good to go. No, that's cool. And then I guess just one of the other things that I like kind of doing while I like doing these interviews because typically people they're with their background and their profession is a lot of the times or oftentimes completely different from what it is that kind of they're doing or kind of as far as entrepreneurship. So in your case, seems like I think you said from a prior interview you said that your father was a scientist, and I guess you said based on kind of you being a home brewer, you are more so like an amateur chemist, I think the way you put it. But you also have a master's degree from Baker College. You also talked about having a PhD in organizational leadership, which again is
Yep.
something completely different from cooling mouth spray. So, did you ever kind of think of, okay, yes, I'm doing the home brewery, and yeah, that kind of I'm doing. I guess I'm an amateur chemist, if you will. But this is something that's kind of completely different from kind of what my uh, education is in, or did none of that kind of really cross your path? You're like, okay, I'm continue to figure it out as I go.
Yeah, you know what? I've been in the IT industry for the better part of my career. I got my undergrad in computer information systems.
Yeah.
Correct. I got a master's degree in management. I got a doctorate in organizational leadership. But as far as I've just been a natural problem solver, and I might have mentioned this when we first, communicated that yeah, my father was a scientist, but he was also disabled. He was in a wheelchair. And as a child, uh, what one of us kids had to usually stay home with dad in case he needed help getting into the restroom or needed something to drink or what have you. And so I was always trying to figure out how to make him more self-sufficient. Just grew up being a problem solver. How can I make things? I'd love to say that I grew up with this altruistic attitude of trying to help. I was trying to get the heck out of the house so I can go play with my friends. But when I grew up, graduated high school, I go to college, that natural trying to solve problems part of me never went away.
Gotcha.
And so, regardless of what I end up doing in my career through life, and just whether it's at home, whether it's in the workplace, I'm trying to solve problems. That's the essence of who I am. And I had this desperate kid in my kitchen a couple of years ago who is suffering, and I'm trying to figure out how do I solve this problem. And so I grabbed something off a whim that could possibly help because of my experience with home brewing before. Found out it was beneficial and thought, hey, I can bring this to the world and solve a problem that's never been solved before, which is eliminating that pain from spicy food.
No, and I love that. And I think this may be even a good transition into the whole IP side of things. It seems like you've kind of been around the block, let's just say. So, did you know about intellectual property coming into it? I know we talked about you having an actual trademark on Dr. B's Elixir, I think. So, was this intellectual property? I know a lot of people, they just, for one reason or another, they just don't really come across IP a whole lot. But was that something that you kind of knew of, or you had to kind of find out as you go or learn as you go, so to speak, with regard to intellectual property and the different ways that you can protect the IP? Because I
Yeah.
think, go ahead.
Learning it as I'm going. You start sharing this with friends, and you're like, "Hey, let's go to Buffalo Wild Wings. I got something to show you and try that." And of course, they're like, "Oh my God, have you patented this?" And I don't even think they understand what that means. But what they're asking is, do you have some sort of protection that's going to keep somebody from stealing this?
Yeah.
And then I had to learn, what differences between the trademark. So really like Dr. B's Elixir. It's something that there's, an elixir. What the heck's an elixir? It's something that solves a problem, and this solves a problem, and it's all natural. So anyway, just kind of having the Dr. B's Elixir is something that's pretty exciting. My wife was like, "Hey, you are, a doctor. Let's use that." And
Yeah.
so she created the logo. We got that, but we had to make sure there wasn't some other Dr. B out there who could come and say, "Stop using that name," and so that I could be sure that I'm going out there and I'm promoting this everywhere that I possibly can, and then don't have to go back saying, "Oh, now I'm Doctor B's." I had to change everything because somebody else already owned Dr. B's. So I got the trademark for Dr. B's Elixir, and so I can legally use that name. And then people wanting to know, can you patent this? Is it a combination that is unique on that? Because somebody said, you can't. Uh, you can't patent something that is natural. It's not like you could say, "Hey, I'm going to patent this blade of grass or this flower." If it's natural out there, you can't. But if you combine some things together in a unique way, then you possibly can. And so I have a unique blend that is something different. So I started the patent process of trying to apply for that. And just between us and our closest family of listeners, uh, I do need some assistance in that area as far as knowing how to get it complete and what it
Yep.
takes. And yeah, there's protections here in the United States. What about overseas? If somebody else says, "Hey, we're going to get some of that, well, let's reverse engineer it and then try to create our own and get that out there in the market." What are they going to do if we're from some other country? Does the patent apply there? What kind of legal protections are? All of the stuff is beyond me. I'm an IT guy who's an amateur home brewer who discovered something that helped my daughter's friend cool his mouth and decided to bring it to market. And with that being said, I'm I'm definitely open to hearing from people who have ideas and expertise to be able to say, you know what, let's get you protected.
No, and again, you said a number of great things there, and I guess one of the things that you said is about kind of Dr. B's Elixir. I know a ton of people, and again, you can do this, but I just think you're more so, at least in my opinion, playing with fire when you're trying to protect something via trademark further down the line as opposed to at the beginning, because as you mentioned, somebody can say, "Hey, I already have a trademark on that," or the USPTO can say, "Hey, it's already kind of trade something is out there that's similar, such that you can't get a trademark on this particular thing." And now you've been in business for a year, or maybe give or take 6 months, and you have to kind of change up your branding. Which I mean, I kind of ran into those situations with clients and prospective clients, which they're not too happy about, but they would have
Right.
kind of tried to protected via a trademark at the front end, they would have maybe understood that they would have ran into some issues, and therefore they would have maybe kind of looked to change things up so that they can get a trademark at the beginning, as opposed to finding out later down the line that you can't get a trademark on that particular thing because it's already out there, or that you would be infringing somebody else's trademark. Another thing that you talked about was being able to protect it overseas. A lot of people think that, okay, just because I have a patent in the US, that kind of covers me whether I'm in China or India or Japan or a country in Europe. And it's like, no, you have to get a patent in those other countries that you're looking to maybe go into business in. So that's something that maybe should be thought about at the beginning, as opposed to uh, trying to figure that out later down the line, particularly with regard to patents, because it is time bars on patents. And a lot of people don't understand this. I know in the US, they give you a year once you have a public disclosure of your product. They give you a year to file that application, that patent application. But in a lot of other countries, such as China, I think Germany is another one. Once you disclose the secret sauce, then you're kind of forever barred for being able to get protection in it, which a lot of people, like I said, they don't know. So all these IP questions is important to be able to figure it out at the beginning, before you get too far down the line, because I know it have to suck to you kind of wake up and say, okay, I can't protect it in this country, or I can't protect it here in the US because one of these time bars are applicable. I know you and I kind of talked about offline, where uh, you know some things can be protected via both. Like, for example, a 2D picture that can be protected via a copyright as well as a trademark. Whereas you have a process or a formula that can be protected via a patent as well as a trade secret. So just based on the kind of the business objectives, and just trying to kind of strategically figure out, okay, what's the best way to protect this based on my business, your business goals. That's again, all that ultimately the whole overall point of the sentence is those things should be kind of protected or kind of thought out and have discussions about at the beginning before things get too far down the line. And I'm talking more so to the audience with this one. When you're kind of have some type of product or service or whatever it is that you're providing, you want to kind of talk about IP to be able to ask those questions at the beginning, as opposed to you before you get too far down the line, is going to be just preferable in a lot of ways.
And it's not like they teach you this in regular school. So it's all right. I got to get and you know better than anybody here. Those books that you look about, IP, they're like this thick, and they're using legal terminology that just isn't part of the normal lexicon. Oh my goodness.
Oh, this is a different language. I mean, it's funny you said that, because I kind of work with engineers all the time at different places, and when I draft a patent application to give it to them for their review before we file for a patent application or file it with the United States Patent and Trademark Office, they're like, "Hey, man, the pictures look good, but all this kind of legal jargon that you're kind of talking about, I don't understand what's being said." And again, because it is a different way of writing compared to what you're typically used to, kind of growing up. But yeah, it's something that I guess it's still an important thing that just have to get figured out. Unfortunately, but I do agree with you. A lot of times, it can be a disconnect between kind of the end reader or the end user, and I guess the books that are kind of using all these legalese and putting the things in a way where you're just not going to be able to understand it, unfortunately, unless you're a practitioner.
Right. And having gone through some of those, you're starting a small business, you invented something, these inventor books, and I got dozens of them. They all boil down, find a patent attorney. Yeah, you could do this yourself, but find an intellectual property attorney. And you know what? They're worth every cent that you're going to put into them, because this is what they do. They live and breathe this stuff.
Yeah.
Find somebody who lives and breathes this stuff. And so, yeah, that's what my recommendation would be. It's not that somebody couldn't figure it out themselves, but there's risk associated with that, and you just don't want to risk something. This is my baby. This is Dr. B's Elixir. I invented the first product. And back to what you were saying, I'm watching shows in which there's somebody who ate something. It's a comedy show, and they dug into something that they didn't realize was hot, and they're suffering. And I could sit there and look at my wife and go, I solved that problem. It's if there's anything that I've done in this lifetime that is going to live on past me, I solved that problem. And so it's an exciting thing to do. I take a lot of pride in it and can talk about it, all day, every day, about how it works and put it to the test. Uh, but I don't want to risk it. And not that I'm saying I'm a moron or anything, but when it comes to the legal actions that it takes to protect, I'd rather trust somebody who, does that day in and day out.
No, for sure, and that, I mean, that's a good point that you brought up, and I know a lot of times, especially at the beginning, especially with the provisional application, that's something that the inventor can maybe get away with just because, like you said earlier, it's not something that's examined. But I kind of tell people all the time that if I'm kind of drafting 50, 60 applications a year, then this is maybe your first one. I've been doing that for the last 10 years, and then you're coming along and uh, uh, as
Right.
an inventor, and you're looking to draft one. It's like, okay, just kind of realistically speaking, if somebody has drafted hundreds of applications, if not thousands, over their kind of time, and this is your first one, I guess how do you think that's going to maybe stack up in terms of the quality at that point? And like you said, this is important, and a lot of times people, I mean, I interview a lot of Shark Tank guests where Kevin O'Leary or one of the sharks, they will just offer a lot of money just for the patent, and at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you have the best patent as possible. And that's a lot of times it's going to be based on just having a good attorney write it, as opposed to maybe trying to save a couple dollars or not, save some money and kind of do it yourself. So I
Right.
definitely understand and agree with you when you say, hey, it kind of boil down to just get a good patent attorney or IP attorney to kind of help you out with things. And at the end of the day, I think you're going to be better off for it. I guess maybe moving on. I know business, and again, you talked about how you've kind of started what maybe just shy of 2 years with Dr. B's Elixir. And I know business is not always like just a linear progression. It's more
Right.
of a sine wave where you have the ups and the downs and just trying to get through it all. I always like to ask the guests a two-part question. Number one, what's been the biggest challenge that you had to overcome up until this point in time? And then what's been the biggest just breakthrough with the business up until this point in time?
Sure. So the biggest challenge are the non-believers, the natural skeptics. And I'm hip. There's never been anything like this before. I get it. And there's been some people out there who have come out with some things and said they did. They were like some sort of honey stick or something like that that they were trying to position as this, doing the same thing that Dr. B's does. So there's been apparently a couple fraudsters out there in the past. Got it. You know what? And but all the people who have tested it, especially people from this group called the League of Fire that have had me on a show similar to this, in which everybody was, they had their bottle of spray, they had their hot stuff they were doing, and they were like, "It works." And Dr. B, we got to come clean with you. We had you on here to light you up because other people had made claims like that. Oh my God, this works. So it's
Wow.
just the amount of skepticism out there is a big barrier, and that barriers. Nobody has gone into the grocery store. Nobody's gone into their Walmart or Target or wherever looking for something that does this because it's never existed. So to try to get those stores to say, "Hey, we're going to put this on the shelves. It's something that works. It's all natural, and you know what? We're going to get this, and we're going to sell it." So that when you go to our store or at least Walgreens or anywhere else, and you're looking for something that can prevent some sort of pain or eliminate some sort of pain, it seems to be a natural thing. Oh my gosh, that's been one heck of a challenge out there, them going, "It works. You've sent us stuff." The buying managers and I have gone out and we've tested against really hot stuff. It works. We're gonna pass for now. Like,
Really?
why? And it was like it would take too much in-store, marketing effort right now. Do they put it by the produce, section that's selling the hot peppers? Do we put it in the all-natural section that only few people? Do we put it by the hot sauces? Do we put it by the point of purchase? By the way, each one of those has its own separate, purchasing manager. That's not like the one person doing that. They're like, "We just don't know what to do with it." So that's some of the challenge and the frustration of going, "I got something that works." They acknowledge it works, but we're not moving forward to, me to, sell them hundreds of thousands of bottles.
Yeah.
We'll get there. We'll get there. And then some of the biggest breakthroughs that you had mentioned were just some of the people who were trusted reviewers getting their hands on it. Somebody bought it and sent it to them,
Yeah.
and I didn't even know. I was playing golf with some buddies, and my phone is just ding, 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 which I get every time I get an order from Amazon, and it's just dinging over and over and over. Some guy did this hot wing show, hot sauce show, and he's got a lot of reviewers. And after, he's trustworthy enough that he's like, it works. Bam! All of these orders start coming in. So
Wow.
uh, the trusted reviewer who does it helps, but it's still a challenge. It's only a couple of years in the making, and I still gotta turn people into believers.
Right, and I guess based on what you were saying, have you ever thought about? I know you said you're on Amazon, but like maybe TikTok Shop or not? Yeah, TikTok Shop, but then just having those micro influencers or those influencers kind of help to try to maybe push the product or create videos, help pushing the product.
Yes, and I'll tell you what, the challenge with that is nobody wants to believe. You have to be so believable. How do they know? And I'll just tell you, yeah, and I'm just being honest. I was not a spicy food eater. I just didn't have it. I might have some wings, but if I went to Buffalo Wild Wings, I'm just getting the medium buffalo sauce. That was about good for me. I wasn't eating the hot stuff.
Yep.
But when I go and I try them and I'm showing people I'm eating this hot sauce, they don't know. They could be like, this guy eats really hot stuff all the time.
Yep.
And I don't believe that he's actually, able to cool his mouth there. Probably another one of them online, things. Don't believe it. So going to finding a trustworthy reviewer of hot sauces on TikTok,
Yeah.
that's what it takes, because anybody else who's doing it, you have this automatic disbelief that it's going to actually work or that it really does work, and they don't want to believe it until they try it themselves. So that's a challenge. And I've had a couple of young folks right out of college going, I got, a pretty good amount of followers on TikTok. I'm going to go in and I'm going to show myself eating this hot stuff. Okay, yeah, great. When did you do it? I did it last week. I haven't got one order. Or any of that. So it's a challenge. When you invent the first thing ever in the history of mankind that does something that nothing else has ever done before, while in your dreams you might be people are going to be going, yeah, and they're going to be forming celebration mobs outside your house, thanking you for solving one of life's longest problems. Oh no, they're going to call you a fraud and insult you and tell you that they'll be more loud to say what it doesn't do, even though they haven't tried it, than they are to and then the ones that it does work for is like, oh yeah, my 3-year-old reached up and grabbed a ghost pepper burrito of their older brothers. They're screaming, and I sprayed 3 or 4 sprays. They didn't really like the taste because the hoppiness taste to it. But 30 seconds later, they're done crying and out to play. I'm like,
Yeah.
could you please put that out there online?
Nice.
Could you say something? I love the you mentioned it to me, but could you please put something? And now a guy calls me up and says, "Hey, Dr. B, I was sitting there handling these seeds of these hot peppers that I was growing. I didn't even realize the seeds were hot, but I wiped my eye and oh my God, I was in pain. I didn't know what to do. So I sprayed some of your spray in my eyes, about 3 or 4 sprays, and blinked. 20 seconds later, the pain's gone."
See, and I think that's gonna be your way in. I don't know, man. I obviously could be wrong. Seems like kind of marketing and getting the product out there is always maybe a challenge, especially when it's something that hasn't been done before. Especially in this case, where it's like, okay, uh, yeah, we've heard that kind of saying before, as far as it kind of cools your mouth and things like that. But I think just having that whole, maybe somebody gets sprayed with some pepper spray and then goes to spray this in their eye to kind, I think that's going to be a little bit more of a shock value, to the point where I don't know, that may kind of break through and it's like, oh wow, I didn't realize that did that.
You ready to be my guinea pig with the pepper spray now?
Hey, I've never been, unfortunately or unfortunately, yeah, fortunately, I've never been hit with any pepper spray, and
Yeah, me neither. Me neither. Me neither. It looks like it hurts, but the people who have tested, there's been a few of them that have just caught a hold of me and said, "Listen, I wiped my eye, not thinking, it's burning, so I sprayed some of your spray and blinked." And theoretically, the way that the science works, it should work.
Right,
It's the same reason after you eat spicy food,
yeah,
after you spray it in your mouth, you don't have any exit burn. It's bound to the same receptors on its way out, and you just don't feel that pain. So, yeah, by theory, it should work. But now we start running into some FDA crossing the line for making a claim of what it could do to eliminate pain. Once you start making those types of comments, the FDA starts to perk up and wants to know, did you do this level of testing? Do you have this level of approval? Do you have these things that could be 50,000, 60,000, and take years to do?
yep,
Um, I'm not claiming it does. I'm saying people have contacted me and said this is what it does.
right.
And that's very important that I make that statement that this is what anecdotally people have said. I'm not making the claim, uh, but that's the way it's supposed to work. Is it just confuses the brain to not feeling that pain?
No, no, yeah, you're absolutely right about that. I had Dr. Dave Smith who invented the Q collar that helps with concussions, and again, he talked about how he had to go through a number of those trials, FDA trials, and things of that sort, which, like you said, can cost a fortune. But it seems like everything kind of clear for the most part, and again, they selling a ton of those things to professional NFL players and baseball, not baseball, but hockey players or anyone who's in a contact sport. Being able to kind of get the Q collar around the neck to help reduce,
Dave,
likelihood of concussion.
one of the things also I wanted to try to make the important point of why people should get a hold of somebody like you. So when I first invented this, the mouth pain from eating spicy food was the only thing I was thinking about. So if I were to fill out my first patent and say, "Hey, it helps eliminate the pain from eating spicy food," what did I leave out of my patent? All the other areas
Mhm.
of where it could be of benefit
So,
to.
yeah,
And so my short sightedness and not seeing a broader picture could very much have hindered my ability to get the proper protection. So knowing, if somebody said, "Hey, we would really like to buy your spray from you. Let's take this off your hands. We've been listening to the Dave show here, and you know what? We have that supply chain. Let us get that off your hands, and we'll get that out in the market. We'll, maybe give you a royalty or something off there." That's great. That is great. You took that part. Now let's talk about the benefits to the first responders and the military, and the people providing aid to disaster places. There could have been fires and such, and people are irritated with that. This other, how do I, you know how do I protect that?
yeah,
And my um my invention that could offer benefits in that area, while which has nothing to do with eating spicy food. So those are the things that's just another reason why you want to talk to a patent attorney about what the how much protection you actually need, because they're going to think of things that I myself never thought of.
right. No, yeah, and that's another great point. Yeah, typically we're not limiting it to like that one application that maybe you're using, and then we're going to try to kind of get more, or at least include more applications in the patent application, and yeah, just kind of be able to cover those things. That's yeah, that very great point on that one. So then I guess maybe trying to be respectful of your time. Two final questions. I guess the one question I always like to ask the guests is, what advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs? Again, it seems like you yourself, it seems like you've just been somebody who's figured it out since you were little in terms of problem solving, things of that sort. But for those who are watching the podcast and they maybe have an idea for some type of service or a widget that they want to sell, and but they just haven't taken that step to kind of really get off into the entrepreneur game. What advice would you give to that person?
One, you're going to have, and I'm going to tell you this, thick skin. If
Mm,
if they'd have thought about it, they'd have already come up with it. but the fact that you came up with something yourself, a new version of something, you invented a new mousetrap, as the term goes, or you came up with something that just doesn't exist out there new, you're going to run into a bunch of people telling you how it's not going to work, and so there's going to be more naysayers, and there are going to be people patting you on the back asking how they can offer some sort of help or support. So you believe in yourself, believe in your idea, and keep moving forward. And so that's the very first thing that I would tell you. It's a very lonely road when you're an inventor with something, because other people, there's jealousy. Oh God, why didn't I think of that? There's people going, I know people who are going, oh, you know, there's other things that people could do to cool their mouth. That's no big deal. Um, no, there actually isn't anything out there like this before. So you have naysayers, and are the people who just know you. They knew you when you were a kid and you were a numbskull and you guys were out doing stupid stuff, and then all of a sudden you got this idea. They're like, you invented something. You're not um cool enough to be a great inventor. There's all these people who are going to put you down, put your ideas down, and they're not going to be support. And then once you hit it big and you're on TV, you're on Shark Tank, you sold it, there's something out there. Oh, all of a sudden, they knew it all along. Yeah,
They
yeah, they
always
knew
knew he was
you
going to
were.
be something.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. That guy, he was different. He was. I'm like, oh my gosh. So believe in yourself, believe in your idea, and just know that there's going to be naysayers, and there's people that are going to give you advice when they have no skin in the game. Yeah, and it's like, if you want me to take your advice, um, pony up some money. Let's believe. If you believe in your advice, invest in your advice. And if you don't believe in your advice and you're just throwing it out there, you know what? Thank you, but no, thank you. So believe in yourself, and don't be afraid. You're going to hit naysayer. So that's one question. What was your other that you had?
Yeah, and then the last question would be, I guess, how can, and this is probably the most important question, is number one, how can people follow you? But then number two, how can they purchase the product? I know you said you're on Amazon. You also have the website. If you could kind of maybe say again, but how can they follow you to the extent that they want to
Yes.
kind of see all the cool things that you are involved with, as well as purchase the product?
All right. So and you go to www.dr Elixir. That is DR, as in short of doctor, B's BS Elixir, ELIXIR.com. And I'm going to tell you this, even if you type in ELIXER, because I wasn't quite sure how to spell Elixir, I got that URL too. It's going to take you to the right place. So drbselixir.com. And you can follow me on Facebook, on Instagram, on X, on anywhere. You put in DRBSELIXIR, and you're going to find me, because I'm the only one out there. And if you to buy, go to drbselixir.com. You'll go in the shop, and then click on any one. I sell the single, I sell 2-packs, I sell tri-packs, and I also have the competition strength. And so if you want to give them out as gifts to people, get a tri-pack. If you want to really test the hottest stuff out there, get the competition strength, and you're good. There's 500 sprays in a bottle, so you're going to last a while. And if you don't eat spicy food all that often, 10 sprays, and you got 490 left for the next time you try it. So yeah, so that's how you get that at drbselixir.com.
Nice, nice. Well, audience, hopefully you guys had your pens and your papers out. Dr. B, he definitely gave us some great things to kind of really think about and consider. I really especially like what he said about the naysayers. You are going to have naysayers, unfortunately. You have to be able to kind of develop that thick skin to be able to kind of just kind of brush what they're saying off. A lot of times they
And you know this as well. At one time you were in high school going, I'm going to play college football.
Yep.
How many people told you, no way? There's no way you're going to be able to do the good luck. Everybody out here says they're going to be that one day. What's your plan B, Dave? What you going to, and you know what? you fought through that, and you ended up accomplishing a goal that so many people never get a chance to achieve. Of course, they're all like, "Of course, I knew he was going to be playing college football. Of course he was." But you remember those conversations.
No, for sure. And again, it seems like it was every step of the way, from high school to college to after college. So unfortunately, they just happen. I think in your case, when you invent a product, I almost think that is even more of a badge of honor because a lot of people have. We all have ideas. Let's face it. We all have ideas. We all have something that we want to come out with that we think is going to be the next biggest thing. But it's only a select few of people who actually execute or at least look to come out with something. And the rest, what they say, if you want to go to a place where all the ideals are, go to the graveyard because most people, unfortunately, die with their ideals. But it's a very select few of people who are maybe just crazy enough to do something with their idea, try to bring it to market. Obviously, Dr. B has been one of those people. And again, I think people are, unfortunately, they are hating on that as much as everything because you took that step that they didn't do because they were scared or nervous or afraid of what people was going to say and how people were going to perceive them. So I think a lot of the naysayers and I guess unfortunately the hate comes from that as well. I'm not sure if you were going to say something.
Nope. You're spot on there.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, so
celebrate those little wins, people. Celebrate them when you get something done. Hey, I got my label that's going to go on my package. Go and celebrate that. Because if you don't, pretty soon you're just going to the negativity that you're hearing from one side, the slowness of getting your product out there and accepted. Celebrate the little wins that you did, and be like, hey, you know what? When I come to think of it, I'm the first Breville ever in the history of my entire family to invent something and bring it to market. That's something that's celebration worthy. So celebrate those little objectives on your way to your goals.
I like that. I like that. Well, that does it for this one, audience. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.